Hello guys, it's Monarch and welcome to this legendary 1v1 on my Death Wizard. I'm going against a Ice legendary wizard in this match. I am around Knight ranking and he is Commander, which is kind of odd seeing that's only like 2 levels below me, but makes for an interesting match. So I've not done much legendary player versus player recently or at all. So this is probably my 3rd or 4th match into using my death at this level range. And I start off, I draw my stun shields, thank God, because you know how much of a problem Ice Wizards can be with their Woolly Mammoths, just Frost Giants, stuns. They're just really stun happy. And if he has Winter Moon, that's even worse. So I get those bad boys up, and I'm protected for at least a couple of times. And seeing that he's starting to stack shields, I'm thinking he might be a very defensive wizard. At this point, I'm thinking he's probably going to blade stack and stuff. So I get my shields ready, I cloak a shield, and I try to beetle into a shield, and it does go through. Usually I have a tendency of not going through, but he summons a ice minion, which I thought was pretty odd because I feel like at this level range, starting legendary, even at grandmaster levels, minions kind of lose their purpose. Having everybody know enchantments like gargantuan, monstrous, whatever. But luckily I did have a Deer Knight, and I did draw a Gargantuan treasure card. So I boost my Gargantuan and I attack. So his minion does do something in the one turn that it does survive. It does blade him, which kind of gets me worried. I know that Ice are very big tanks at this level, and they got that enormous amount of health, just being Ice Wizards. So they also, combined with the resistance and what else, I'm a little worried, so I'm thinking maybe I should shield a little, but I should also try to suppress any healing he might have because he does have a life mastery amulet. So suppress that, get some damage in, maybe Doom and Gloom if I do get the chance. I'm always skeptical of using Doom and Gloom too early in the match because while I do have treasure card Time of Legends in my sideboard just to change the bubble if I need to heal, it can be a two-way street, because it's pretty much global to any heal, except for my drains, being a Death Wizard. But I get some shields up, he starts to get those blades up, and at this point I think I do start dealing some damage. I guess I have weakness first, because he does have Angel, Frostbite, whatever, and that could cause some damage, especially if he keeps on stacking different kinds of blades. And something you need to know is my pet does have May Cast Infallible. It does use it eventually in this match, and it's a big help because even with being a Death Wizard with like 85% accuracy, I still tend to fizzle. Just personally, that's from my experience, and having that May Cast Infallible helps dwindle down his resistance and helps me not fizzle like I just did. And right now at this point, I think this is where I start to attack, get that health down, make him be more defensive. As you see, he does become more defensive. I get a critical to go through, probably because I'm wearing I forgot what it was called, the Bee Stinger wand from the Bumblebee Hive bundle. So yeah, when it comes to wands, there's not really that much of variation of what you can have in a free kind of like farmable sense. There's not many wands. You have all those hordes packs and wands that are harder to farm, like you have to go through a whole instance. So I was lucky enough to have a bundle that I didn't redeem the wand for, and I was thinking, I looked it up on wiki, and I was like, this wand gets me a lot of critical for what level I am, though I didn't get any block, so I'm gonna have to be concerned about that. That's why I'm more defensive at this point. I'm not really used to critical and all that, most of my wizards being lower level, but it's interesting, and it seems to be helping me out. I've been getting some lucky criticals into my hits, like I just did, and at this point, I'm thinking he might summon another minion and go through my shields, so he can attack with one big hit or something. So I know he has that beetle. He hasn't used it, so, and I don't think he does use it this whole match, but it does use fairy like once or twice. Mine has fairy. My pet also has fairy learned, but I don't think it does use it at all in this match. So I just keep on poisoning so I don't hit into any shields he might have, especially with that fortify up. And at this point I think it's good to use ice shield so he can't just wand it off like a tower or hit through it too easily. I got a couple of these inside my deck, plus some cloaks if I need them. But this is where Virulent Plagues and weaknesses do well against Ice Wizards, having all those dots that just break through your shields. So he summons an Arminian, and I'm kind of like going, I just used a ghoul to attack him with, and I could have used it perfectly on that minion. But I do end up drawing another one this round for my sideboard. And I use it. I do critical. I get a lot of health back from it, but I'm basically at full health already, so. But that's a good effect of having ghoul in your deck when minion does pop out. You can critical, or even if you don't critical, you're gonna get that health back. Just a nice side effect. But seeing this right now, he's like ready for a combo, and I'm thinking, I do have an Enfeeble in my sideboard. Maybe I should start digging for it. So in a couple of rounds I will do that. I know Enfeeble is a harder card to find. It's not really tradable, and I think it's dropped around Azteca and all that. But other spells that might help you, Earthquake, especially if you have a Myth Mastery, or Aftershock, the little watered down in terms of damage but also pips. It's harder to find, but it's still achievable through the bazaar and trading. I've got a lot of those lying around from back when they were being sold all the time. The pack was new and everything. But here I'm just thinking, should I start getting some blades up? Because you're not going to go through an Ice's health so easily, especially if they have a life mastery, without causing some real damage. So now my pet does use that infallible, and I'm thinking, this could be a good time to start attacking, but he also has himself set up to attack, so I'm going to use the Enfeeble. Though sadly he does attack. It doesn't do much because I already had all those I have a Virulent Plague on him stacked. Actually 2, I think. But it doesn't do that much damage. About 300 a turn. And I'm thinking I could probably just get that back through vampires and whatnot. So I think this round I start attacking, going into some poisons. I'm thinking, should I use this Triage? But knowing how little the damage seems to be going, how little the damage is, it's best not to. So now he's back on the defensive, knowing that I have my Infallible up, I have my blades up, and that was a good decision on his part. And he does block this one. I was like, oh man, why did he have to block this one? But no, I don't like being too lucky. I like a little skill in my gameplay. But yes, I do go into the Doom and Gloom. He will eventually, I think he switches it next round or so, but I do follow up with a Entangle, just so he doesn't Satyr, because his heal boost is incredible. I think it does, with an infection, it did like 700, and I just don't want him to get that health back, because right now I'm in a good position, and go with the Entangle. So there's the bubble. He's thinking he's probably going to Satyr next turn or so. And I'm like, no, I'm going to shut you down. And I'm just praying that his pet doesn't activate anytime soon. Because pets are the bane of player versus player. They're so unpredictable, and they just cause a lot of problems. You have a strategy all played out, and then that one lucky spell cast that triggers your pet to do something that totally destroys everything. And I decide to go for the vampire, get some health back, because at this point he could either heal or he could start attacking a little. I don't know how big his damage boost is, but he decides to minion for some reason, and I'm like, okay, I'll just attack you. Do have a weakness up though, so it doesn't do as much damage as I would like, but Oh, I do actually go through a critical with this, so another lucky hit, but seeing as my gear is more critical high, it's just a little more normal for my hits to go through. But this is the point where I'm trying to look for a decent attack or a ghoul, whatever. But in the end, I decide to attack. At this point, I think he's either trying to disconnect or he might have actually disconnected or something else. I'm not sure if that whole glitch is still around, but I was kind of disappointed because he still had a pretty good chance of coming back with this. And as you'll see, I'll fizzle my finishing off move. So if he did remove that dispel, he would have eventually healed himself off with any luck. So basically this last few couple turns are just him going around and passing while his minion just attacks me viciously with sharks and bats, and oh, it was a nightmare. So that's about it. I'm gonna stop right here when it comes to me talking, and just enjoy the rest of the video. Thanks.